there we have it. Director, sawa. It's been a long weekend, I know. All right, so let's get this on the road. It's been a heavy weekend, politically speaking, and the discussion and the back and forth between the DCI and the IEBC is raising a lot of questions on the credibility test in terms of who is speaking the truth, depending on which political side you are taking. And today I want us to focus that as well as the UNGA debate. Okay. So with me in studio, I have got Benard Makau, who is a senatorial aspirant in Nairobi County. He is an independent candidate. I'll be joined later on by Francis Mwangangi, who is also a deputy gubernatorial aspirant in Machakos County. He'll be joining me very soon in studio, but we have to get the show on the road. Nonetheless, Benard, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
First of all, we have to give our condolences to the families of the 24 people who died last evening at the Nithi Bridge. It's a horrific moment as a nation. What's your take on that?
I think this then goes back to the issue of road safety, the management of our highways and roads, how we operate there. And in all fairness, we cannot lay all the blame on agencies, on government bodies, even though they have a critical role to ensure the road is good, it's in nice, usable condition. But also as ourselves as Kenyans, what is our responsibility when we're in the road, especially when you're driving a vehicle that is ferrying other people? Yeah. We need to look at both sides and realize that we are endangering our lives. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, we'll be discussing more on that, but let me quickly take you through what we have on the front pages of our local dailies. Starting with Standard. On the front page of the Standard, Kinoti versus IEBC, who is telling the truth on Venezuela's. Kinoti versus IEBC, who is telling the truth on Venezuela's. DCI claims that the three are in the country to execute ill motives, but their host says that they are supposed to train IEBC staff on support solutions, with Ruto telling police to keep off election matters. That is what's on the front page of the Standard. Quickly on the Star newspaper here, Ruto office raided as DP state tussle over rigging claims. Ruto office raided as DP state tussle over rigging claims. Sleuths cut away 2 computers as Kinoti puts Chebukati on the spot. We have got pictures there of the DCI officers cutting away and somehow dismantled servers in the office of DP. IEBC tech firm riddled with controversy. Statmatic International, the company contracted to supply the voter identification system for next month's polls, is no stranger to controversies. Established in 2000, Smartmatic initially developed security software for the banking industry. So in its first year, the firm found itself embroiled in a major controversy over the hanging charge incident over the 2000 US election. That is what's on the front page of the Star newspaper, where DP now turns heat on Uhuru and DCI for meddling with IEBC. On the front page of the Daily Nation, 24 dead in Nithi Bridge bus crash. 24 dead in Nithi bus crash. Death toll could rise in the coming hours, according to the police. And you can also take a look there. According to, with only 14 days to go to the polls, now there is a split comparison between actually inside Raila and Ruto business empires. You can take a look at that story. It's quite interesting. What are some of the business ventures they are into? Just briefly, Raila in this particular piece says that he's ventured into energy, agrochemical, more of energy, East Africa Spectra International Limited, B Energy Limited, etc., etc. With the Deputy President, we have that he is in real estate and hospitality. hospitality, underwriting. That is where we have got Amaco Insurance, Western Hotel, Martini Limited, and so much more. So you can take a look at what we have on that. And that is just but a sneak peek on what we have on our local dailies. Now, very quickly, Benard, when you look at these two headlines, that is the Standard, and we have got the Star here. The back and forth between the DCI and the IEBC. At this particular point, are we able to say that IEBC is absolutely ready for the poll, without just 14 days to go? You are a contestant.
Yes. Okay. I think the situation is we are looking at the wrong people. I think IEBC or any other agency in Kenya right now is only able to operate freely and fairly to the extent that the political class will allow it. In my opinion, and you began when you began making your statement, you alluded to it. In my opinion, is that right now what is happening is that this news will divide this nation along party lines, depending on who it is that somebody is going to support. Why I say that is because there are the IEBC is not only the only state agency. We have the DCI now.
Yes.
Other than the DCI, we have the intelligence system. For me, it is difficult to believe that somebody can come, and a foreigner can come into this country, have relations with IEBC, even plan such a big fraud as has been suggested here, without them being stopped very early at the airport, for example. Yeah. So for me, it seems that there is more interference from the political class. Again, if I were the one, obviously I'm not a corrupt person, but if I were to plan as an intelligent person,
you can't blow your own trumpet.
No. I'm stating my fact. It can be investigated and found whether I am corrupt or not. But if I were to plan as an intelligent person and one with the sort of resources that some of these political parties wield, I would be planning such a move outside this country. You realize IT is not restricted to within the border.
Right.
It's not like supplying water from the tap. You need it from Susumua or some other place directly. You can do IT in Venezuela. Yeah. So why they would have to come to Nairobi to stage such a fraud, for me is not convincing.
Yeah.
And again, to say that Chebukati, a state officer, would stand up and give a contradicting explanation to the DCI, to the investigation, DCI. For me, I think it speaks volumes, because Chebukati is not a politician. He is trying to run a credible election, and he has the right to reply. I would more favor Chebukati's explanation than the DCI, because the DCI reports, if you look at the line, it ends at the presidency, who's the chief boss of the DCI. It's not just the IG. The IG will report to the minister to the president.
Does it have to get to that point? Because the DCI acted on a tip from these airport officers when these guys were arrested, the 3 Venezuelan nationals.
Yes. Okay, let me put it this way. Why is the DCI, who is, I assume, a professional, why would he be going public with this kind of information on such an emotive issue as the general election in Kenya? Kama mzee wa kijiji, why would you rush with such divisive and potentially harmful information to the general election and put it out there in public. If you are acting on a tip, well, just act on the tip, go and arrest whoever it is you need to arrest, make your investigation quietly. Let us then fast track the process and get them to court. We have a very short time. Get them to court early enough to block any misdeeds and criminal activities. He needed not to go and put a public statement that would then, it's not just dealing with crime now. It's become a political issue. To whose benefit is that?
I'm asking this question because you're a contestant. You're running for the senatorial seat of Nairobi County. And when you hear such kind of allegations and back and forth between the DCI and the IEBC, these are two government institutions which should be working in tandem.
Yes.
Actually for credibility of this election. But then now, as a person, do you really think that your position is safe as a contestant?
Actually, that's a good question. I get worried when I hear such kind of news, because while those are parties, what of independents and what of smaller parties who do not have the muscle to fight big state agencies? It tells me that the interest and that interest, I repeat, is not IEBC's. It's Chebukati or his staff.
Right.
That interest is the interest of politicians. So I'm worried, because I think, how safe will my vote be? Those parties also have people running as senators and other positions. So will IEBC be able to withstand the onslaught from major parties and their interest? That is, of course, a very worrying issue. But I can't emphasize enough the problem in Kenya, and the problem that IEBC or Kinoti himself is facing is interference from the political class.
Because the political class plays a key role in an election. You're the key players. IEBC, people would say, is just better referee. At this particular point, IEBC is not new to controversies. In 2017, in 2013, even the nullification of the election was majorly based on the transmission of the results. And now we are at this particular point. You can imagine what would happen with only 14 days to go. We go to the polls, and then 2-3 days later, an election result is declared. And we have got such kind of anomalies. Perhaps you can say that Chebukati and his team should be walking on a tightrope, right?
They are walking on a very, very tightrope. I do not envy their position at all, because much as they may want to stand on the side of independence, it will require the rest of us as a country to allow them to be independent. So, of course, they are faced with a major challenge of not just being independent, but appearing to be independent, which is directly being interfered with now by another state agency. Because now the appearance of independence has gone. The minute we have allegations that IEBC is colluding with somebody on behalf of one candidate, the appearance of independence, the appearance of neutrality in that issue, it disappears immediately. It worries not just candidates as myself.
Yes.
It worries the voter. That's why we have voter apathy now. We experienced apathy as in when there was the registration process, when it was still open to people are able to register as voters. A lot of young people didn't register. Why? The expected target wasn't met. Why? Because people argued, and I've heard this everywhere I have been. There's no point whether I vote this side or this side. The vote has been decided for one party. You see. So when we have state agencies fighting in the media, and in such an issue, then it seeps down right to the voter.
Yes.
And the decision then, when it is finally announced, is not as convincing.
Because when you look at, as you put it, it's going to split people between two lines. I mean, who is going to support the DCI because of the revelations, and IEBC on this other end saying that these are their staff members who are actually meant to give IT support to the elections. But the question somebody would be asking, why at this particular point and why the stickers? That can also, can raise questions.
Well, yes, it can. And I think just sort of to also look at, not to side against the DCI completely. the issue, I would like to remain a bit balanced.
Yeah.
The issue of transparency is also a critical issue. And in fighting corruption and malpractice. Now it is with IEBC. And I'm looking at it in retrospect. It would have been a preferable position if all this kind of information that we are having, a Venezuelan company coming to support, all this, if it had been put somewhere, maybe on a website in public, so that we are already aware that that those are the processes, instead of us coming to find out later that there was a team contracted from another country. Yeah, so on the side of IEBC, the need for more transparency is something that they should look at going forward. They should, especially things that could be targeted by politicians, malicious politicians. Those things should be put in public early enough. Yeah. Nonetheless, my appeal to Kenyans is a simple one. Let us not rush to judge just based on who we support. Let us look at the deeper issues that are the underlying issues. Why would a police officer go public? Is it the only investigation? Is it the first investigation? There are many people being arrested for many grievous things in this country. We don't ever hear the DCI going public on
Benard, on such a matter, you wouldn't have expected anybody to go quiet on it.
No. I think
election is a motive.
The motivity of an election requires a responsible state officer at that level to take their time to check the facts. And this is not, I'm not saying to conceal. They would have done the investigation quietly. There is no benefit to Kenyans, to a person like me, even to candidates.
Really? Because you are a contestant, you'd really want to know how election is going to be.
I would want to know how elections is going to be, not based on an allegation, but based on not only credible investigation, but on people who have gone to court and it has been proven before a court of law, which is the process that we have ordained in Kenya as the legal process. Because up to the moment, right now there's a lot of noise about people being arrested and investigations going on. Let us see how fast these people will be taken to court. I think the DCI has jumped the gun, because you've been given a tip-off. It's something you had no idea about. You've been given a tip-off. Oh, kuna maneno hapa. You've rushed and found, ukweli, there are people coming into the country. You have arrested them. And then you are on social media or you're on some public platform announcing. I think that in itself is a political statement. And why it is a political statement against one party already. It is disenfranchising that party, because already there are people who there are people who maybe would have voted for that side, but now are moving to the other because they think, oh, our new easy. You see, so I think Kinoti has handled the part where he has declared it publicly very poorly and very unlike a big state officer. Yeah, we've had in the past not just state officers, even politicians, announcing things. You remember Mr. Sonko when he was governor, calling the president on air, on our phone. You don't operate like that. You don't do things like that. Well, let me put it in Kiswahili. Usianike nini serikali yako in the open like that. You follow the due process that is laid down until to a point where now it is clear that indeed whoever you are investigating is actually, has done some criminal activity. But before that, and I don't think it's Kinoti's role to declare somebody a criminal.
You know, this one reminds me way back, you know, Hassan Commission, we had Kivuito-led commission, and then we have Chebukati Commission. All these three commissions had their fair share.
Yes.
They ran up to, you know, an election. And you'd imagine that Chebukati is not immune to such kind of allegations. But before we continue, let's take a break, and when we come back, we're still going to continue the discussion. We still need to dig deep on what is happening, and now see on how this will end with only 14 days to the poll. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now the discussion still continues here, and when we took a break, our guest walked in, Francis Mwangangi, who is a deputy governor running for that, should I say running for the deputy governor seat in Machakos County, right? I got it right. Karibu sana, Mwangangi.
Thank you.
Traffic. We have an expressway from Lolongo to Nairobi. Where were you caught in traffic?
Somewhere next to KBC.
Come on.
Along Oloo highway. because if I went through the flyover, you know, I would go past somewhere here.
Right.
Yes.
Then take a turn, come back.
Yes.
But nonetheless, you are here. How is Machakos doing?
I would say very good. We are just there, especially because of the biting serious drought and hunger. Yes. It's a serious matter.
Yeah.
Yes.
With 14 days to go, elections is getting closer and closer. How are things on ground?
People are campaigning. People are still trying to push for a very small percentage of the undecided voters. But I think I'm praying because of the existing situation of drought and hunger, that is not going to influence who gets elected, because sometimes we leaders, political leaders, sometimes we use our deep pockets to influence, particularly in the last minute. But I know people of Machakos are going to make their decision.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll give you a chance, and even Makau here, so that you can speak to your people.
Yes.
It's quite in order for that. All right, so when you look at the front page of the Standard there, what does it show you? What does it tell you? The back and forth between the IEBC and the DCI, that's what we've been talking about. I don't know, what is your take now that we have got only 14 days to go?
This is a serious matter, because to me, two things come into play. One is we have two individuals, actually three. These two individuals were arrested in Kenya.
There are three, right?
Yes. They are not Kenyans. We are now reading who they are. How did they get here? What was their mission? Who is behind it? This is a serious matter. It means the will of people of Kenya, somebody could be trying to interfere with that. It is a serious matter that must be addressed. Underline the word must be addressed, because we do not want to take Kenyans through a process that is already predetermined. I'm saying this especially that Machakos is being touched on whatever is happening
exactly
here.
Right.
So I'm concerned. I would wish to see a situation where Kenyans go for an election, and whoever is elected, irrespective of whether he or she is tall, short, fat, is given that opportunity.
We take, I'm told that your microphone has morning blues, Let it fix pretty fast, and then we can come back to you.
Okay.
All right, I sorted out. But Benard, can just pick it from where he's left.
Yes, I want to pick it because as he was speaking and talking about the fact that this needs to be addressed urgently and decisively, something occurred in the process of investigations. I think it's not a very complicated science, the police investigation. For example, these people have arrived in Kenya. I assume they have visas. As foreigners, they have entry visas and possibly work permits to operate in Kenya. It is a simple matter to pick up the phone or to get in touch with the immigration department and find out who are the sponsors of these people into the country, in terms of their work permit, in terms of the reasons for which they declared the need for a visa to come to Kenya.
Yes.
If it is just a clear thing, if indeed they were being contracted legally, you will find, therefore, then it is IEBC who has applied for their work visa or have supported that application. It is IEBC, the work given to them by IEBC, that is the reason they are giving. They wouldn't, for example, be coming on a tourist visa. They'd be coming on a work-related visa, having declared their role openly, if that is, they were coming to work without malice.
Okay.
On the other hand, if you go and find a funny thing, they are on a tourist visa, they are said they are going to Mombasa or something, then of course there is grounds for suspicion. So I am back to the issue of Kinoti announcing prematurely that he has arrested people on a tip-off. I think he has the mechanism of finding out this kind of information in the within the government offices, office of the immigrations, IEBC itself, and other supporting agencies. Who is it that I don't think it's the Venezuelans who have rented out the office in this building where they were, where the equipment was and where the office was supposed to be. Okay. Those are details that would have easily come to the fore, and for the sake of saving this nation, we just, the last decade also, maybe slightly more than a decade, we have gone through bloodshed and very divisive elections. It is not the time to just bring allegations.
Let me just get your voice right now, Francis, if at all your mic is now on. We had Mind the Blues with it, but I hope now it's woken up.
I think so.
Okay, very well. So you making your point. And quite importantly, it touches your county.
Yes.
By the way, he's running on Wiper Party, and your boss is Honorable Vinyandeti.
Yes.
I think it's quite clear to mention that. All right, take it away.
Then to add on, it is also critical for the IEBC to tell the country how many consultants, how many companies, from where, and maybe when they were contracted and to do what tasks, specific tasks. It is important for Kenyans to know this information. It's very important. This is not a minor matter. It is something that can bring a major dispute, electoral or rather political dispute, because the four presidential candidates, and especially the two leading ones, are likely to dispute this, and they will cite this. Even if the matter goes to court, this will be cited. So I'm urging the government through the DCI, we should not dismiss it. We should not dismiss and say maybe DCI is playing politics. We should not side with IEBC and say maybe this, IEBC are being targeted by security agencies. This is a serious matter, and I want the commissioners, the IEBC management, to come out and make known to Kenyans what is all this, and in a very clear way. Again, within the government, I'm wondering how this happened. To an extent, it is now a subject of an investigation from the same government, which has allowed these so-called consultants to be here. I don't understand. It's like there is one hand that is pulling from a different direction and another one heading to the very opposite. So I would wish also we see maybe a coordinated collective effort from the government. Before this matter was brought to public, I thought it was critical for the DCI to have contacted all the relevant government departments. And maybe as they are getting arrested, we also see somebody in the government getting arrested. We don't want a one-sided thing. This, the viewers, is a very serious issue. If I were, in fact, I will not be surprised to see some of the presidential candidates threatening not to participate in this election, because this is a serious matter. If somebody is trying to predetermine who becomes the next senator, the next MCA in Machakos, what does that one tell you? As a voter, I have no role. My vote does not count. We want our votes to count. Yes.
And that's exactly what Makau was talking about, because he talked about the situation, the way this situation was handled before it went public, and now we have got the DCI raiding the DP's office, cutting away computers and all manner of, equipment from that office. You could imagine the kind of perception that Kenyans now have out there. More so Machakos County, because part of the stickers were headed to Machakos County. Yes. Have you done due diligence to investigate where these things were going to and their purpose in Machakos County?
Unfortunately, all major polling centers with high number of voters, almost all of them were targeted, are in the list. Number two, I have a feeling this is a major crime, which at international level can be classified as a crime against humanity. I think whoever is behind this should be barred forever not to participate in any electoral process in this country. This is a major crime as far as I'm concerned. So IEBC has a work to do. The government of Kenya has a duty to provide proper and clear information to Kenyans, because I have a feeling maybe it could be also a deal gone sour. Okay, because how did it start? How did it progress? And at what point did we get to know this is happening? Now, look at the office that is being mentioned, the second in command in this country. We cannot have those kind of lead. If it is true, then I think something must be acted decisively, because we should not have this kind of leaders in our public offices. Yes.
Okay. How many polling stations do we have in Machakos County?
Around, there are many. There are many, around, there are many. But those targeted, we were analyzing last night, actually around 1 a.m. They are almost half of almost half in every of these major sub-counties with high number of votes. Okay? And because our report is not complete, it is premature for me to make it public also.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
But it is something that is of concern. If I open my phone here, you will be surprised of what I'm getting from the residents, from the voters, from Machakos County.
That raises the same question that we were discussing here earlier, because now when you have IEBC and the DCI, these are two big boys belonging to the same government. We should be working in tandem. And then now one party is pulling from this direction and another one going the other direction. It's splitting the minds of the voters in different beats with only 14 days to go.
No. They should not work closely. In fact, what is happening is health for Kenyans. Because we need to know the truth. If they work collectively, because all of them are public agencies, then maybe this information would have come forward.
I understand where he's coming from, because why in my reasoning why he would say what is happening now through the media is a healthy thing is because we do not have sources of information. And I'm not talking about the media itself. I'm talking about the way government dispenses its information. has not been to the point where that it is believable to many Kenyans. So when we have parties talking at each other like that, it then allows us Kenyans to have a sneak peek at what is happening behind the curtains. But let us be very clear on this issue, that it is right now a political stance that the DCI has taken. Yeah, going to raid offices does not require the media to be there. We do not need to see photographs, because he is not stating his case before the public. He should take his case to a court of law. Yeah, that is number one. Number two, and my brother has mentioned it clearly, that how is it that people can come and pull a stand of such magnitude in a process so important in this country that has historically been marred with things like violence and bloodshed, under the nose of such an intelligence unit as the one that Kenya has. A unit that can find me wherever I am in this country, that can track my phone, that can understand. And you do not want to let us not lie to ourselves that IEBC can concoct such a plot with whoever it did without the knowledge of our intelligence system. I think that's the major focus that they would have right now. What this thing is doing is putting Mr. Chebukati in a very uncomfortable position. Will he accept that he's been part of a plot to defraud a particular presidential candidate? And by the way, not just presidential candidate. Personally, I am feeling worried personally, because you realize that any person, even when you're coming into power, you need a clique of people. So that presidential candidate who is being plotted for, on behalf of, would require the plot to expand to a great extent to the governor in Machakos. That's why he is very bitter about it. To the senator in Nairobi and to other positions. So what we are seeing right now is a political process. And personally, as a politician, if this thing cannot be taken to a court of law in Kenya and resolved judiciously and speedily, then we should be considering aborting this election, and until we can find a proper management system that is devoid of the interests of the direct influence by the politicians. IEBC has no interest. Chebukati, anyone would see, why would Chebukati favor anybody? He already has his office. He's already the chairperson. He's not looking for a job. So if him or his team were inclined to favor somebody, it's because of either politics or money. And who is giving that?
And that's exactly what the DP said yesterday in Kapkatet. He said that the DCI has failed Kenyans.
Yes, he has.
And his work is to investigate criminal matters, not get involved in electoral processes. But these two
no, I think there also we must correct. I think the DCI has a right to investigate any alleged criminal activity, whether electoral or any other one. It is quite within his role to raid offices, to arrest people, to investigate them in whatever due process that is being laid down by law. It is his role. What is not his role is for him to come out in public, invite media to see raids, to take people and take pictures of people and put them on the front page. People who we as of now have not established that they are actually taking a criminal activity.
You know what, Francis? We had Isaac Hassan Commission, we had Kivuite, and now we have Chebukati. All these commissions, at what point will we have independent commissions running an election in Kenya?
Independent, but abiding by the law. Even if the elections are being conducted now, it does not mean Mr. Kinoti cannot move and arrest anybody or investigate any criminal or alleged or otherwise. I have a slight view of what my colleague is saying. Whatever is being investigated by the DCI, the actions they are taking, Kenyans are bound to get access to that information. Considering the office that is being mentioned, we knew later, DCI knows later this thing will come public and somebody will start alleging that I'm being targeted. So it is also very important for the DCI to make it public that we are doing this because of 1, 2, 3, and that is what DCI has done. And because this matter is involving political leaders, that's why you are seeing the kind of hit that you are seeing. Because now somebody is trying to, each camp is trying to paint itself as innocent. The other one is trying to look like I'm the defender of the electoral matters in this country. Yet the office we in question here, we know it belongs to one of the candidates. So this is a serious matter. I think I do not accuse the DCI of going public about these arrests, about what they are doing, because it is something that is of public interest. What we are saying is we need to get to the bottom of it and reassure Kenyans that we are going to have free, fair and credible elections.
What do you see in the next 14 days?
I'm seeing improvement in terms of preparations for this election. I'm seeing a serious commitment to IEBC officers. I'm seeing a commission that maybe they have a duty to do to improve their trust, their trust by Kenyans. It's very important. Because if we go to this election, and Kenyans do not trust this very important body, then there are issues. Let me also put a disclaimer. Developing world, Kenya included. Some of these things could be right. DCI could be right in what they are doing. They could be following a very serious issue, which is of interest. But also there is a possibility somebody could be using them to also play politics and destroy the credibility and trust of IEBC for the something that is predetermined, maybe during or after this election. There is also those. So DCI and IEBC have a duty to do.
They have a duty to do.
Yes.
And you look at that, Benard, do you think either of them will have time to redeem themselves?
Well, the time is very short right now. And of course there is a lot of political pressure to be able to resolve this. I am hoping secretly that the DCI will, having already now put this thing in public, will take it to court quickly enough for us to make a decision going forward. Nonetheless, let me just say that what we are witnessing as Kenyans, we must understand very clearly that it is a direct reflection of our character as a nation. That deceptiveness, that ujanja inakuwa mingi, which is not to our benefit as Kenyans. I'm not going to read it, but I just saw a headline here from Godwin Siundu in this is the Daily Nation.
Yes.
Is Kenya about to miss a lifetime opportunity again? This is a question we must ask ourselves. Because what is happening, this election is a transition for another 5 years in our history as a nation. If we start messing up the way now things are beginning to appear, it is even unclear, as my colleague has mentioned, it is unclear. Either side could be playing this politics. Either side has the capability of importing fraudsters to come and assist. Yeah, so it's quite unclear. If you're being neutral and balanced, you look at it like that. But as a country, are we because of ujanja yetu about to miss or to mess up another 5 years in our history. If you look at the questions that we are dealing with as Kenyans,
Yes.
the basic questions, the price of unga, the price of fuel, these are the very same questions we were talking about in 2017 during the election time. Yeah, are we ensuring that we continue? And I think we will not continue endlessly. It will grow worse and worse. Are we in this mess ensuring that we continue with that kind of struggle and suffering? Or are we as Kenyans about to take decisive action to break away from that kind of road? For me right now, I think Kenyans, we need not to overly politicize what is going on, what is being sold to us by either side.
Okay, you know, during that particular process, there are some allegations that when the 3 Venezuelan nationals arrived at the airport, there was no any IEBC official who was there to receive them. You are a stranger in a foreign land, and it's always recommended that when you drop somewhere or you land somewhere, you have got your, your host receiving you. At this particular point, allegations, right, that there was nobody who was there to receive them. Someone would draw so many questions from there. Either they knew where they were going to, or they were working under some proxy somewhere silently, or they were just coming to find their way in some kind of a mysterious way.
Let me add another or to the ones that you have given. Or they had a proper booking done so that they were to be received by maybe a hotel van or something, which has happened. I'm sure you have traveled
with all these all these 4 ors, quote unquote.
Yes.
Don't you think it's putting this country in a very precarious situation as far as election is concerned?
It is, and that's why my argument is that the DCI shouldn't have rushed to the media. Yeah, just one phone call to the head of the immigration department would have given him the details.
Okay, right.
So,
Fresh, let me get your take on that.
But I have a question.
Sure.
In terms of elections, where does Venezuela in the world rank? Another question. These consultants from Venezuela, what is the relationship between the private office that was raided and IEBC? Number 3, why is the focus on the 2 officials, yet the other government departments that cleared them, we are not hearing much about them? Or is it going to become the famous army deal that was where we see where the country was treated to a fake general trying to sign contracts, security contracts, and then after that we never hear about it. I can say here, we can list so many cases that we have seen our security agencies, the raid, being trailed by cameras, including the ethics and anti-corruption. Whenever you see such cases, they fade and they get lost somewhere in the thin air. So in this case, this is a serious matter, and we expect more from the both agencies, DCI and IEBC, because as I sit here, all these are allegations. We don't know whether we could be just talking, yet it is a serious matter that could have started long time ago. We need to know if it is true, who really is the person behind this and exactly what is the motive. Yes.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, you are a player in Machakos County.
Yes.
And I know this case is still under DCI and they're handling it. Have you come across any of the stickers? What the content of the stickers all about? Have you come across any?
I haven't. Personally, I haven't. Yes.
Yes.
We are just hearing allegations. Except at different times for the past 2 or 3 weeks, we have been hearing of a certain form that is being filled and people giving out their IDs, those ID numbers and copies. We have been hearing that. We tried to contact the local IEBC officials, and they were very candid that if you come across any, bring the matter to our attention, and before even you do that, report it to the police.
Yes.
But these people are doing it in a very secretive way. To an extent, you are doing one-on-one, and then the deal is done between the agent and the targeted person, such that it is the person who will go and report. It is not something that you can call a group of people and maybe explain, do this. And the way it is being done, a lot of money is being used in the whole process. These clergies, I tried to follow up, and they were very categorical. There's something fishy happening here. You need to address it. And as I sit here, we are still following up, because it is happening in, particularly even in the ward that I come from. I know around 5 places that are alleged to be that kind of a thing to be taking place. So we are concerned, especially when this came out. Yes.
Makau, it seems that Machakos, Francis is having some sleepless nights in Machakos County. Yes. But let me ask all of you, why is an election in this country quite emotive? It's almost a do or die. You're getting into it, and you can feel the pressure and the heat coming from the kitchen quite directly. Why so?
Okay, first of all, we must see where the pressure is coming from, and we must be just candid and honest as Kenyans, of whatever walk of life we have. This pressure is coming from corrupt politicians. That's where the buck stops. It is not our institutions, it's not our planning, it is nothing, it's not even the general public. Although the politicians themselves are a reflection of who we are as a nation. I have said before that Kenya's #1 enemy is not locusts, and it is not Al-Shabaab, it's corruption. And we need to find a way. Personally, I'll be suggesting declaring it a national emergency immediately if I am elected. I think unless we come head on with what the problem. If you go to a doctor's, clinic, and they are talking about the symptoms and not the actual cause of your sickness, you are unlikely to get well. All right. It's the same thing right now with Kenya and with this issue. We are beating about the bush, talking about Kinoti or this. Actually, I even have an appeal to our media, recognizing to all the media generally, TV, radio, and anyone who is posting a lot on social media. While I recognize that media is both a service and a business at the same time, when it comes to pivotal issues that could mar the destiny of our nation, I would call upon the media to water down the reporting of it, not water down the details, but stop giving it frontline. We would, for example, be discussing who has got the best, manifesto. To solve the issues of this nation, instead of focusing solely on this issue, because what this is doing is just dividing the nation. Right. It is making us politicians uncomfortable. It is making the voter, we're even preparing now, drawing battle lines, not knowing what's going to happen after August 9th. Yeah. So we need to come back to ourselves as a nation and decide to do things in the proper way.
Because let me just get this. It's about 10,000 stickers which were netted, alleged. All right,
alleged. Yes.
But then someone would ask a direct question: is that IEBC has a direct mandate to procure electoral materials, either from whichever part of the country or even outside, if they so wish. But why give nationals or foreigners to come with the materials? For example, the stickers, the 10,000 stickers, if they are not IEBC officials. We have got procurement department tasked with that mandate under IEBC to do such. Chebukati the other day said that there is a committee charged with that, overseeing the process of doing the electoral, the paperwork, the printing of ballot papers in Greece. He is not even directly concerned. But someone would be so curious on why these stickers and the particular Venezuelans coming with them ready into the country. That's a question. Because
let me just, because that's a very
answer. Yeah. Let me just get your point on that,
okay.
Francis.
You know, once again, we know countries that are known to conduct free, fair, and credible elections. And elections that are swift. By the way, in some countries, developing countries,
yes,
not developed countries, developing countries, where electoral process start at the particular voting time and the day, and by the time it ends, every level, every position that is participating in that particular election knows the outcome clearly. Greece and Venezuela are not in that list. Okay? Actually, they are at the lower of the pyramid. They are not anywhere in the middle. I'm finding it so hard to link. Now, the electoral materials are coming from Greece, but we are talking about Venezuelans who are consultants. I don't understand. I'm trying also to understand, as IEBC confirmed, these are their consultants, or are they working on a contracted by any of the organizations contracted to work for IEBC, or it is something being pushed to them as part of them? Because anybody can come up with this kind of a thing. Number two, to me, I want to caution Kenyans. What DCI is doing, Mr. Kinoti, could be a serious undertaking that ideally would have seen this election go in a particular way. But because of the information that they had, because of what they are doing, maybe it could also push IEBC or a section of the staff to abandon maybe a plan that they had, maybe to have some people in place. We know elsewhere in the world, we know some countries, they go what Kenya is now undergoing as far as electoral processes are concerned.
Yes.
And we know similar processes have been used to retain unpopular leaders in the political offices. We don't want that to happen in Kenya. We want Kenyans to vote, and we want, once they vote, their votes count. Why is elections in Kenya so emotive?
The same question I asked.
It's, in my view, it's because we the political leaders are seen to be almost everything in this country. They are the richest. They decide which direction the country takes, what to be done, division of resources, where development goes, and all these things are politically led.
Yeah.
Many Kenyans know the power of a politician. Once you are in that office, how he or she is likely to lobby for these resources, for this employment, for this kind of a thing. And that, in my view, is one of the few reasons why this electoral process is so emotive, is so critical to Kenyans, because to them it is life being meant worse, being meant average, or prosperity on the other hand.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm told we are running out of time, but then I think it would be quite good for me to ask you, because we have got 14 days to go, 2 weeks exactly. When we were doing gubernatorial debate, we were lucky enough to start with Machakos County.
Yes.
And so far, I believe that a lot has happened, you know, politically speaking. Where are you in terms of your position as a running mate to Honorable Vinya Ndeti?
Where am I? We are campaigning. I'm doing everything possible 24 hours
Yes.
to ensure she wins. From our both surveys and even others, we are achieving that target, and in a very massive way. You wait and see the outcome, God willing, come August 9th. Yes.
And what makes you think that she's the best candidate for Machakos, so to speak? You have several candidates as well.
I can give you several reasons.
Go ahead.
One, this is a well-educated person. Okay? Second, this is a person who understands. She was born, brought up, she has worked, and she has led a section of the people of Machakos. Why a section? She was a member of parliament for Kathiani. During that time, Mavoko and Kathiani were one. We know what she did. Her performance was sterling. She was actually at some point the best in the country. Number two, our agenda for Machakos, especially the manifesto, it is people driven. People were consulted before she came up with this manifesto. The engagement of the Machakos people on what else and what they feel needs to be done, and that manifesto covers all that can make transformation real for Machakos County.
For fairness, I've not interrogated your manifesto.
Yes,
perhaps three or four key pointers in your manifesto before you come to Makau. Right.
One today, we know health is default. The agenda of healthcare in Machakos is key to her. The agenda of agriculture is key to her. The agenda of water, especially water harvesting, that will lead to food security and improvement as far as environment is concerned.
Yes.
Planting of more trees to address climate change is another point. Another one is education, particularly at ECD level. In fact, whenever I'm accompanying her across the county, that is something that touches almost everybody. The manner in which she has come up with the manifesto as a result of these people participation. So those are key, but very few areas I feel if we target those ones, it will. She has even engaged the business community. Under Wiper Party, we have a policy of 24-hour economy, and our leadership, you will see that starting in Machakos. And that what it means more wealth for people of Machakos, more wealth for the companies working there, and continuous improvement of the business climate within Machakos County. We want to make it the preferred, such that whenever you come within this region, the region of Eastern Africa, you talk about Kenya, Machakos comes to your mind, because the necessary infrastructure will be there, the necessary business climate is going to be there, and the best taxation regime, we believe, is going to be there. And above all, we want to ensure rule of law reigns in Machakos.
You know why? It's quite, I think, whether it's a coincidence also because he's running for senatorial seat in Nairobi, and which means that if Honorable Vinya Ndeti takes the lead, he will be tasked to oversight and give her money to Machakos County. Let me ask you, your thought in terms of oversight. How would you handle that if you're elected?
Thank you. That's a good question.
Because Nairobi is one of the biggest economy in the country.
Yes,
absolutely. Right.
Nairobi, and you must remember that the oversight role of a senator is national. While, of course, I have to impact my home county, which is Nairobi. I have arguably the best manifesto out there. It's on my social media. If you allow me, I'll share the link. I have 7 things that as part of my oversight role as a senator, I am bringing within the first 100 days of my election.
In 1 minute?
In 1 minute.
Right.
In 1 minute, and I will list.
Yes.
Number one, I am committing to end my campaigns and my politics on August 9th. We've been treated to 5 years of continuous campaigning. I don't intend to do that after August 9th. I intend to concentrate on serving, on performing my role as a senator. Number two, I'll be calling here in Nairobi County, because it's my home county.
Right.
I'll be inviting all the elected officials, right from governor to MCA. We sit down, we synergize our manifestos, because each one of us has a manifesto. Why? We don't want confusion. We want one manifesto for Nairobi County. Number three, and which will now affect Machakos County and the other counties in the country. There are 3 motions I intend to table in the Senate, on the floor of the Senate, within 100 days. Number one motion is what I am proposing or calling the 50-50 Solidarity Bill. 50-50 is what? Kenya's national debt is the total national debt is around 11.7, maybe slightly more, maybe slightly less, trillion shillings.
Yes.
Yeah. That is an untenable economic situation. So I am saying we reduce the salaries and allowances of all elected officials by 50% until we can pay 50% of that bill. Mkenya anaendelea kuumia sahi. Yeah, after we have just mentioned unga hapa, and things may grow. By reducing the price for 28 days is not a solution. We need to find a permanent solution to those life issues. So that's one bill. Second bill, I'm going to ask Parliament to declare corruption a national emergency. That is what we are talking about with IEBC and DCI, Kinoti, and all these other issues. It's corruption, pure and simple. Yes. And it is being fronted by politicians. We declare a national emergency on corruption. It will free the government to take necessary action against those people who we already know. These are things we know. Now, number three, I'll be tabling a motion to cause the African dress, the ones that kitenge, Ankara kind of dress, to become an acceptable form of official dress, not just in Parliament, but even in any other office.
Until we're running out of time.
We are running out. Okay. Next time.
Finally, somebody is making a joke of Machakos County that we have got senator who is a female. Now we have Honorable Vinyandeti who wants to be the governor. We have got a woman rep. So people are calling it Machakos girls. Is that?
Well, we're not concerned, and we have a club of men that has been there, and that has run down everything. I think let's have respect for our female political leaders.
I mean,
important.
The thing is, the 3 incoming candidates, the 3 incoming political leaders,
are all
they
fit
have,
to be.
yes, they all fit, and not only fitting, not only qualifying. These are people with track records. Okay, the outgoing ones, they have destroyed everything, including the systems of governance that could have ensured Machakos could have been where it ought to be today. And we are not there. So let's try them.
Let's try them.
There is also the issue of gender parity in this country. People should be congratulating Machakos and the Wiper Party for that kind of initiative.
Machakos is just a stone throw away from Nairobi.
Yes,
so anytime you want to go to Machakos, just drop down there very fast. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming over. And we wish you all the best. With 14 days to go, I know you are busy. We can only wish you all the best, because that's what we can do the best. All right? And please tell Mheshimiwa that we need her on the show.
Oh, okay, I will.
We need her over here.
I will almost straight away.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll be speaking to Benard Makau, who is a senatorial aspirant in Nairobi County, and Francis Mwangangi, who is running for that particular seat of a deputy governor in Machakos County. Let's take a break. But when we come back, I have got 2 gentlemen. Let's talk about peace and elections. I have got Bishop Jesse Ireri James and Reverend Dr. Josephat Ngumba, who is a pastor. We'll be having, after that hard topic, now let's talk about peace and elections. That is coming up shortly.